This is Keep On TV3. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on DSTV channel 279. We're all across the world on 3news.com, on the Voice of London radio in the heart of the city of London, and Voice of London television as well. This morning, welcome to the Poll Tracker. Just for the uninitiated, this is a segment of the show where we deal with publicly verifiable data that you can find, you can follow, and then also understand every step of the way. Matters relating to politics, the economy, agriculture, jobs, any issues that are of concern to you, rooted in verifiable data, is what we deal with here on the Poll Tracker. This morning, earlier in the week, the Ghana Statistical Service put out the Ghana Labour Report. It's a pressure report that gives us an idea of the picture of labor in this country. Those who are employed, underemployed, unemployed as well. And it's a big issue because in every election, one of the big promises that every political party seeking the mandate of the people gives is job creation. Because we have seen over time, government is the biggest employer. Okay? And so whenever there's a change in government, the expectation is come and create jobs. Because that's one of the promises you made, by the way. Create jobs for the young people. Put interventions in place. That's why we've seen some job creation interventions, some of which are unsustainable, not well thought through, right? And we are seeing the evidence of it. The problem is that all these job intervention programs by previous administrations and present is financed with state funds, and they don't end up being sustainable. You can track all the way. We've had interventions under the GIDA, NYEP, then we can talk about NAPCO, Planting for Food and Jobs, is said to have expected to have created a number of thousands of jobs, all of them. NAPCO, 100,000, the NYEP, GIDA, 130,000, that's what we projected. Where are those people who were said to have been employed under these interventions that were financed with state funds? But the expectation is that government has to create jobs. But you know what's interesting? Over 4 years ago, the former finance minister, Kenneth Nanayo Ofori-Atta, at UPSA said the public payroll is full. As in, over 4 years ago, government couldn't employ, if we're looking at the payroll, say is full because over 650,000 people were on that payroll, including ghosts. And it was full over 4 years ago. Let me just recall that. Take a look.
Is the most important thing at this stage. We have gone through a period where most people look for jobs of government, etc. That payroll is full. I can tell you that because we are spending some 60% of our revenue on remunerating some 650,000 people, and that's not sustainable. The question then really is whether UPSA has trained you to be entrepreneurs. And your question will be, where would I get the financing from, etc.
That's Ken Ofori-Atta. That's one thing that he said you can't contest with about this particular statement. And this is corroborated by the current finance minister, Dr. Kasiel Atuforsi. When I sat with him, he indicated the matter of the public payroll. In fact, we are spending over 90 billion, or we projected over 90 billion cedis for compensation, that is payment of salaries and wages for public sector workers. That's government employed people or public sector workers for that matter. That is about 47% of our tax revenue. In the midst of all this, this is how the Ghana Labour Market Survey, the pressure report by the Ghana Statistical Service looks like. This is it. 15.43 million. That's the labor force. Those who are employed, underemployed, and they counted laborers and others. So it's not like there's people who are in employment who are actually underemployed. There are those who have a job but are underpaid. They were all counted in all this. There are those who have also been engaged in temporary jobs. Temporary jobs. They are all part of this 16.43 million. So the number looks big, but if you break it down, which we have done, it paints another picture. Between the first and the third quarter of 2025, over 330,000 jobs were created. That's according to the Ghana Statistical Service. And this, they counted all these temporary jobs and people who are underemployed and so on, all of them in this. 72.2% of this big figure you see there, that's 15.3 million labor force, 72.2% are in vulnerable employment. And this 21.5, we're talking about young people between the age of 15 and 24. The NEET you see there is not in employment, education, or training. But almost 22% of young people between the age of 15 and 24 are not in employment, education, training. That's a big one. In fact, the minister in charge of youth development has acknowledged that this is indeed a national security threat. And this particular narrative is not new. We've known youth unemployment to be a national security threat for over the last, 15, 20 years. There's a World Bank report that points to that as far back as some 20 years ago. So we know it. 13%, that's the population that the Ghana Statistical Service captured in this particular report, don't have any form of employment. That's over 2 million people. Okay? It's a big issue. And a chunk of them are young people. So if you think about the interventions that have been put in place over time, how has it solved this big problem of unemployment? These interventions funded with the taxpayers' money, or with state funds for that matter. JIDA, NYEP, NAPCO, Planting for Food and Jobs. There's one district, one factory. How many of those factories are actually even functioning as we speak? Because they created some form of employment. But if the number of the factories are not in operation, then those people who are employed, obviously, are at home or having to find other forms of employment. This 13.4 million people who are employed, about 7.4 million of them are female, and just a little over 6 million of them are male. And majority of the female we are talking about are in informal jobs. Informal jobs, they actually even counted head porters, kayaye, all in this 7.4 million. So you can look at the headline figure to look a certain way. But when you drill down, realize that we are not actually capturing sustainable, well-paying, dignifying jobs. The rural distribution we're seeing, 7.47 million of these jobs we're talking about are in the urban areas, and almost 6 million are in rural communities. So this administration is focused on using agriculture as one of the ways of dealing with this unemployment matter. So we've seen those interventions that have come through in Kokon, Kittiya, and others. But we've seen other agriculture interventions to create jobs in the past. How much of that has made a difference? That's the question on the minds of many right now. But listen to the Finance Minister, Dr. Cassiel Ato saying, still on this matter of public sector employment, taking into consideration what Ken Ofori-Atta said over 4 years ago, that the public payroll is full. So if over 4 years ago the public payroll was full, how then still looking to government to create jobs magically, and it's either you're adding more to the already full public payroll, or you are sacking people, create some vacancy, put people there, or you are actually employing people who have been employed to do jobs that are being done by other people who are already in employment. So you go into a public sector office and you see 2 people, 3 people employed doing the same thing but with different titles. This is Dr. Kasila Toforsim. Take a look.
In 2025, employee compensation was 76 billion thereabout. That is wages and salaries payment. Now, in 2026, it's going to increase to 90 billion.
Yep.
That is salaries, wages, 90 billion.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So how are you pegging that with measures to measure and improve productivity? Because,
Okay.
I mean, obviously, we can't be. That's about a chunk of our tax revenue.
Yeah, it's massive. I think it's over 45% of
About 47% the last time I checked.
of tax revenue. But let me put it this way: you certainly need to remunerate government sector workers and even recruit some to a degree. We recently negotiated wages at 9%. You have to make provision to pay.
Yes.
Recently, we issued financial clearance also for about 13,000 health workers, another 13,000 education workers. All put together, you have to make provision to pay. We are currently going through enlistment processes from both Interior and Defense Ministries, the Ghana Armed Forces, Ghana Police Service, Immigration, Fire, all put together. We have estimated 10,000 recruitment.
That's Dr. Kasila Toforsim there. So now, over 90 billion cedis is what has been projected in the 2026 budget to be for compensation, wages, salaries in the public sector. Although the public sector over 4 years ago, Ken Ofori-Atta said the public payroll is full, we're still government has to find ways of employing people, because not just, Ghanaians' expectation, but their followers as well. You have them, expecting to be employed in the public sector, because it's a sure way, it's a secured area to get a job. But what about the unsustainable, vulnerable, underpaid population? Well, take a look at this. That figure that you saw, the over 17 million employed people, this is the national's breakdown. 44.5%, that's about 6 million of the people, are involved in services sector jobs. That's providing service. So they even counted these ride-hailing service drivers, taxi drivers, auto drivers, all of them in there. Then we have agriculture, about 5 million. That's 37.2%. And then industry, 2.5 million. Industry. So we got to know, drilling down the data in this industry area, that quite a number of these, companies set up under 1D, 1F, actually not functioning. So you have a number of them who are employed in there also having to go home, because the sustainable, progressive, medium to long-term questions were not fully answered. Whenever government gets into this area of industry, which is a sure way of creating jobs, the sector service is still the largest employer. Agriculture still remains the backbone of the economy. So what should be the thinking going forward? Well, there's a lot more to show you. Let me just acknowledge the presence of Dr. Joshua Zato. He is a senior lecturer, before anything else, at the University of Ghana, Legon. And as I've always said, he still has parliamentary ambitions, which he hasn't denied, at least as of now, to represent the people of Sisala East. Always saying good morning to them on the ticket of the MPP. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Alfred, and good morning to the people of Sisala East, as you just said. There's nothing else. Thank you, Alfred.
Welcome. You know, it's not too far away. Their days are counting. By January 31, you will know who the flag bearer is, and then afterwards, we'll see for parliamentary. So you should be counting your days.
Alfred, good morning.
Welcome. Let me
I like the agenda setting.
let me acknowledge the presence of Martin Kpebu, is private legal practitioner. He is the leader of the Kumipe demonstration, and he's a lover of different forms of hats, as we have seen. There's one that he's wearing today. Council, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kansi.
What's the name of this one? This is like what Anas has been wearing.
They are all this. I haven't taken time to find a specific name, but it falls under the fedora this range. The fedora range, they have over 20.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of them. So sometimes you have to take it, then go on the net, try to see which one specifically fits it. So I haven't had time, but it's within fedora.
It's within the fedora classification.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Good stuff. Always thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
As always. And Solomon also is.
Hey, but you haven't allowed me to
forgive
greet.
me.
Hey, I have to greet the people of Ghana.
Yes. Forgive me.
You remember when Lebede Ahiabod did the 38.1%, that those people. But of course, subsequently, it was corrected to 41 point something percent.
Yes.
That's what the MPP got, right? So from time to time, we have to remind them that when you come into government and perform abysmally, you become tone deaf. You get 38 point something percent, and then subsequently it goes to 41 point something. Anyway, okay. So once again, we want to greet Gamanche Kentucky Teku through the second. Gamanche, we are very grateful for your charges to get the Cecilia Dapa money back. Apparently, the case was not even investigated. It's just like the way Kisi sat on the SML matter. The Cecilia Dapa matter, yes.
So it was not investigated?
Oh, no, not proper. It was just wishy-washy. It was a cover-up.
What do you mean? We'll get into that.
Exactly. It was a cover-up. So we are praying that Raymond Acha will get into the bottom of that matter. How can one woman have so much money under her bed? How much is her income? She said she did cosmetic businesses. All of them checked out false, right? I say, Adeyo, Adimambedu, the second, Domahini, more fire. We have to hear from you. You still have to hold this government to accountable. Otherwise, people are going to say you are being partial, right? And then, so for Kufu Yasantua, President Kufuado's relation, who didn't think that the fact that they are relations and she actually benefited, she was made Chief Justice, meant that she should keep quiet when everything was going wrong. So she stood up and spoke against the bad governance.
Right.
So Yasantua Sofe Kufu, we are grateful. Please, let's remind the special prosecutors is living. Hey, and Toby Afede. Hey, Toby Akpe, kaka. Yes, Toby Akpe. Yes, Toby Afede. We are grateful. You remember Toby famously returned the sitting allowance. Toby knew that where he is privileged, and so once there were so many unemployed people were hungry, there was no need for him to keep the sitting allowance. So that's as a member of the Council of State.
Right.
So he returned the money. Toby, we are forever grateful. And of course, he spoke out against the bad governance, the economic malaise. Thank you very much, Toby. We want to remind the special prosecutor as he's exiting to, of course, he will be exiting, but the 52.5 billion matter that Kofi Afulu, chairman of the FIC now, Financial Intelligence Center, presented to him, the petition concerning the 52.5 billion. The money that under Euphoria Test Tenor left GCB accounts to some unknown places. 52.5 billion, Mr. Kanse. Sometimes I look at us Ghanaians, I'm like, why? So people don't want to get up and fight this money. We've been talking about it, and it's like, okay, you take the lead, you go alone. How many times? We are over 32 million people. So other people should be willing to get up so that we fight for the recovery of that money. Thank you very much.
I do appreciate. Thank you very much. And also joining us is Abraham Amaleba, is private legal practitioner. He is also the CEO of the National Road Safety Authority. Council, good morning. Welcome.
Morning to you and to the viewers. We are approaching the Yuletide, and there's a need for drivers to be cautious. I've maintained that the biggest gift you can give to your family is to return home safely.
Sure.
As a driver, forget about the number of passengers you have to go around and pick them. But you must save your own life, because your family is waiting for you. And so I've indicated that if we drive within the speed limits, we'll arrive home safely. On the motorway, you have to go to 100 kilometers per hour. On highways, you go 90 kilometers per hour. On settlement areas, you go 50 kilometers per hour. And when you are approaching a town and you find hospitals, schools, funerals, gatherings, you go 30 kilometers per hour. When we do this, we'll come back home safely.
Wonderful. Very important message. Thank you. From the Director General of the National Road Safety Authority. I'll go to King Solomon Owusu. He is Head of Communications for the UP party. Thank you so much for joining us, King Solomon.
Thank you for having me, Alfred, and good morning to my co-panelists. And let me use this opportunity to also appreciate all those that came to mourn with me last week when I was saying the final farewell to my sister. May God richly bless you, particularly TV3. I understand you made a lot of noise, though I told you, my brother, don't do it. You did it. So, Alfred and your crew, I'm very grateful. And then, good morning to every Ghanaian.
Thank you so much for joining us. In fact, your good friend and brother, Dr. Joshua Zato.
He was there. He came to more.
He amplified it more.
He brought a lot of diabolic NPP matters there. Even at the funeral, NPP business. What is this?
I see. Interesting.
He's looking for votes everywhere.
Thank you.
You see this mischief?
Okay.
You see this mischief? You.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. But this is the picture that we've been painting all the while. It certainly is one that not looking good. The Ghana Fiscal Service put out when it comes to employment or the labor market picture or the pressure report, as we've seen. 15.4 million labor force. But then when you drill down, you'll see a chunk of this number in vulnerable employment. And 21.5 young people are not in employment, education, or training. And this unemployment rate, even though has reduced from 13.7% in January to 13% now. That's over 2 million people who are employable but have not been employed. And a chunk of this number you see as well are those who are underemployed because they have the skills but are not being paid adequately as well. There's really no motivation to do so. But then, government has the objective of creating jobs because that's the promise they made. Okay? But even though Ken Ofori-Atta said over 4 years ago, as we played, that the public payroll is full, government has to find ways to still create jobs in the public sector. And now we're seeing some interventions to create jobs in agriculture and others. But we've seen some in the past go by. NAPCO and others, JIDA, all of them have not been sustained. So what should be the thinking going forward? That is what we've been painting all the while with all what we have been seeing now. Gentlemen, I'll start off with you. Matic people on this one, quickly.
Okay. Well, it's not an enviable position at all. I mean, to be in government and being saddled with such a huge rate of unemployment. We've said it for decades now. You read the various reports, we've been saying it every time that, hey, unemployment is a national security threat. Yeah, it's been threatening us for over 20 years. I can remember that, from the late 90s, from about 98, 99 onwards, yes, we've been hearing that refrain. Yeah. That unemployment is a national security threat. Unemployment is a national security threat. And over 25 years on, we still have the same problem. Look, and you see, and that's how politicians have come and gone. Each time, candidate comes, I'm going to turn over this economy. I'm going to expand it in a way that you've never seen before. It will be out of this world. There will be jobs and jobs and jobs and jobs. You remember somebody said, Zato, your man. There will be jobs and jobs and jobs. Then 8 years, boom, not much, has been done by way of creating jobs. So, when you look at it, you can see that sometimes from where I sit, I know that talk is cheap, but I also have a sense of what it looks like practically, because at least I've grown over the years, right? And seen that But with the millions of hectares of arable land that we have, why can't we just ramp up agriculture? No, a few days ago, I heard the National Service, Hussein Alassane, that's one of the deputies, right? I'm not sure of the Alassane, is it Husseini? Yes. Donko, I think it's Donko rather, something like that. Yes, he says the Nkukon Kitinkiti project, they are going to open a poultry farm that will have 500,000 beds. And so that will be great. Because look, it's no brainer. I mean, we have so much land. We have so much land. And so each time you see government giving excuses about not being able to create enough jobs, I'm like, but we have land. And once you have land, look, go to Israel. You see, from the early 2000s, former minister for Agri, Courage Kwashiga, he went to Israel to observe, and even before Kufuor came in 2000, in the year 1999 and 2000, they came and told us that, oh, look, Israel is desert land over there, etc., and that they had gone there, they had observed, and so when they came in, they would bring machines and agriculture will boom and there will be jobs. You know, Kufuor's regime, unemployment was still a problem. So what I'm saying is that year in, year out, or every election cycle, you hear politicians promise jobs, and especially agriculture. Agriculture just looks like it's the low-hanging fruit. But somehow, we are not able to produce enough, and even we are food insecure. True. The percentage is high. So what I can say is that this time, at least from what I'm hearing about the Nkukon Kitinkiti project, right, it looks like for poultry, the government looks like they've gotten it right.
What has to be done right this time around? Because we've gone on this path before, you know, under the PFJ.
Yes, planting for food and jobs.
We give people some of these.
Yes.
We give people seedlings. We give people some sort of starting point or capital to be able to get into agric.
Excellent. But it doesn't look, it looks like Nkukon Kitinkiti is a bit different because under the planting for food and jobs, I didn't see the mass or scaling up of poultry production because in actual fact, in Akufo-Addo's regime, in the end, the poultry industry collapsed them all. That's one difference I can see. You can challenge me, you can Google it and see. The poultry industry, the numbers rather went down. There was a decline. So this time, with this current administration rolling out Nkukon Kitinkiti, and I've seen what they've done. There was a launch in Kumasi, right? And now they say in near the University of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, there will be a farm there, and then the 500,000 farm, and other places, other people have geared up, they've lined up, people have been gathered into cooperatives so that they'll be given the fowls, etc. I mean, at least on paper and then in terms of optics, this one looks more serious. Okay. And we just hope that they will walk the talk. This one looks more serious. I don't seem to remember an organized fashion like this to ramp up poultry production under Akufo-Addo's planting for food and jobs. No.
Okay. Well, so Dr. Zato, I'll bring you in on this, and while at it, I also acknowledge the presence of Justice Abdullahi. He is a private legal practitioner and then also a senior lecturer at the UPSA Law Faculty.
And my neighbor. So now it's a neighborhood thing.
Thank you. Justice Abdullahi, thank you for joining us.
Interestingly, last week, by the time I got home, I had a lot of text messages on neighborhood.
That's all. Thank you. Thank you for making the time to join us this morning. Well, Dr. Sato, you see, people focused so much on agriculture as the way to solve this matter of unemployment. But making agriculture attractive to young people is a big discussion. If we start, we will not finish. Because if you look at the population of Ghana in agric, they're actually aging. A chunk of the population in the agriculture sector is between the age of 50 to 70 and beyond. So there's a big problem there. So if you're seeing 5 million people, according to the Ghana Civil Service, based on this data, in agric, the problem is that if nothing is done in the next few years, this is going to go down because you have a lot of people who are there who are aging. Doc.
Thank you very much. Now, with this, I want to start from where Martin ended with the Nkukon Kitinkiti thing he just talked about, and saying that it's looking very promising. any initiative that is aimed at putting people to work, I like it. But there's a big caution here. Remember SADA? Remember SADA guinea fowls? No, you remember that?
We do. It's
You remember
in-
SADA
in-
guinea
in-
fowls?
in
So
history.
there's nothing, because at the time SADA guinea fowls was happening, most of these people that are in government now were in government too. They were there. So I want to hope and believe that they've learned some experiences and then they are correcting them. I want to believe that. Because if we joke and this Nkoko Keting again should fly again into Burkina Faso, I don't know what is going to happen. So please, this government has an experience, an reputation of things flying into Burkina Faso. Maybe this time they'll fly to Togo or Benin. I hope they don't fly. But I hope also that is why I didn't hope that there's better expertise now, that people have learned their lessons and will do it better. Okay, that's where I want to start from. But look, every election cycle has defining moments. One of the defining policies of the last election was what? 24-hour economy. I sat here and I said that policy was hollow, was bad, that there was nothing in it. People came at me. Up to now, today, I'm saying, what is in the 24-hour economy? Look, and sometimes it's better, and I like the way you were trying to do the but let's do it. The leading issue the NPP campaigned on in 2016 to get power was free HSS. 2017 December, free HSS was in full swing. There's nobody that can say that by December 2017, free HSS was not in full swing. Where is the 24-hour economy? How much there's a secretariat there? Honorable Guzitano is supposed to be leading it. We sat here and we looked at it and we said, look, if you look at the 24-hour economy, whatever it has, a lot of it was copied from what Honorable Alan Charamenten was doing with 1D1F and trying to use tax incentives and others. I sat here and I said, look, the issue is demand. The woman that is selling food in Chop Better in Tumu is not going to open because there's a 24-hour economy. No, she's going to open and close because there is demand. Where is the 24-hour economy that was supposed to give people 3 jobs, 1 job, 3 schedules? So that if the Ghana Commercial Bank in Tumu was to open for 3 times, then people get jobs. That was the biggest antidote to unemployment that the NDC sold us. 2, they sold us the Women Development Bank. As another game changer, because see, women can be the engine of growth. One of the issues because of cultural, social, and other things, women are restricted in their access to capital. So men have relatively more access to capital to invest than women do. This was what the women development was supposed to cure. It was supposed to be one of the things that will come in and say, look, you know what? Let's make it relatively easier for that young woman, for that mother, for that sister, for that daughter to be able to get access to capital to invest and expand. Where is the 24-hour economy?
I said the bank.
Where's the bank? Martin, you see, there's something happening. Priorities, when the government has a priority, they make sure they find a way to fund it. How much money was given for the Women Development Bank?
It's over 400 million.
Martin, you know that I tried not to interrupt you because I didn't want that. I'm trying to let me make. I'm saying that.
But he's talking about
I'm saying that.
If I get the line of argument, it is the establishment and operationalization of the bank.
You were going to establish the bank. It's taking you, how many years does it take you?
The projection in the budget is there. Yes,
Dr. Zato, please. The disclosure makes you look like there's nothing.
There's nothing. Where's the bank? Oh, where's the bank? No. Listen, I want to go down that rat hole with you. Where's the bank?
The bank is in the budget, but the budget has just been
is that where we find banks? No. Banks are not living in budgets.
You see?
No. Banks are not living in budgets. Come on. What are you trying to say? No, banks now live in budgets. Where is the... So if I am a Ghanaian woman now and I want to access the 24-hour economy, I should go to the bank, I have to go to the budget.
The budget has just been approved.
But this is not the first budget. There was a budget.
The first budget had over about $50 million.
The first allocation was $50 million.
So what has happened? You see, I like the way you are trying to be a very good apologist of this government. You have done that. You have been a very good apologist of this government, and that is okay. Let's understand, because I'm saying that the 24-hour economy is still a mirage. It's not there. I can see it. If the bank is there, show me after this, I will drive there. So these were supposed to be the two pillars of development. So far, we are seeing above the 24-hour economy and the women development. It's a scam. It's a mirage. None of them exist. And precisely because of that, these issues are exacerbating. That is the point I'm making. Look, let's go back to agric.
But you know, from the
no, I don't know. No.
Okay, yes.
Stay with me.
Okay, I'm
so you begin to see that these issues, because they have not been solved, because there's nothing tangible, concrete that you can point to as them, they have contributed. They are contributing to this. You talk about agric. Look, I'm not an expert in agric, but I'm going to focus on Sisala East because we produce the base maize in there. Mm-hmm. Something happens with agric, and if you go to Sisala East now, the youth are in agric. They started with the planting for food things. And I can tell you, the former minister of agri, Akoto, once made a statement that because of planting for food and this thing, a lot of people are no more living in thatch houses and this thing. It was considered offensive because, but the reality is that it's true. If you go to Sisala land, and go to almost every place, if you see the number of development, except in terms of business, it's amazing because of people made money from this. A quantity of the fertilizer was smuggled. That is a national security issue. It's not an issue for the farmers and the youth to deal with. National security could deal with that. So it contributed. Planting for food put money in people's pocket. Planting for food fed people. Planting for food sent people to universities. Did that. It has been good. Now something happened. I made this argument here the last time. Last year, if you sold a bag of maize, you could get up to 600 or 700 there. Last year, if you sold a bag of soya beans, the same thing. The prices were high. You could sell a bag of maize and at least buy one fertilizer, if not two, depending upon whether you are buying sulfate or this. Today, the prices of maize has fallen drastically. Farmers are struggling, and even the worst thing is that there is no even demand for them. Farmers are struggling to sell their maize. So a lot of young people, if you go to Tumu now, I can tell you, every teacher you see has a farm. Every nurse has a farm. Every government worker has a farm because they use it to supplement their income. A good number of them have teachers have taken their PVs to go and take loans to buy fertilizer. Nurses, teachers have done. Now they are looking at debt because what they have harvested.
Respectfully, is it negative that more people are entering farming?
It's very good. It's very good. But I'm telling you that because the prices have crashed and collapsed, now they cannot pay the debts they've gotten into. They cannot pay for the fertilizers and things they've gotten into. And that's the problem. Because another thing has happened, labor shortage this time. Now, I want to take this, I know. During this year time, you usually have a lot of people coming from Upper East into Sisala area. Some coming from Burkina and the Moshis to come and work on the farms. The labor is dry. I have 10 acres of maize sitting in Tumu now. I don't have anybody to harvest it. So every day I'm praying that fire doesn't come to destroy them.
Is it your case?
Let him finish.
My case is that right now,
the drying of the labor.
No, it's
connected. You can talk about the demand for the maize has been so low.
Right.
Prices have collapsed. So that could be good for food. But the problem is good for food that prices have collapsed. But here's the problem then. The farmers cannot sell to repay their debts and then to invest next year. You see the conundrum there. It's a conundrum. So on the one hand, kenke prices should be low, but they have still stayed where they are. The sizes should be bigger, but they still stayed where they are. But that's good. The same thing is happening. So when you look at it like that, then you then see that it is becoming a disincentive for young people who have a lot of debts who want to sell it. Government announced a farm gate price of almost 400 cedis for backwomen. And the same minister said when they released the money in agri, 3 days it finished in Accra. They said, they actually said the Ghana government company. That money is woefully inadequate. One of the biggest issues even in Sisala right now, a lot of people have warehouses that are full with maize. They can't sell them before they bring in the new one. So there's a huge glut. Government came out with policies to say that schools, prisons, others should buy from them.
Yes.
But it is still inadequate. So my point is that if you want to make this agri more effective, there's so many ways. Government should fertilizer. Government should look at it, how to either subsidize fertilizer or even if possible under the Feed Ghana program, make it free. Government should look at seeds, how to make seeds and other things available, planting, food. So my point is that right now, the demand or the city for young people to go into fertilizer, into farming has been there. The problem they are facing this year is
still resist the attempt not to interact.
No, but you see, so here's what I want to do.
All the solutions you provided, right?
So that's not
in
right.
the end,
I'm going to come to you.
They produce more in the market.
Because I want to move to the others. I want you to listen to me.
The glass
no, the government can then use...
Hold on.
Hold on.
Wait.
No, I'm
I
only
want
helping.
to wait. I want him to conclude on the point because I'm going to come to you. When you are speaking, you would raise your issue. If it has to be responded to, you go ahead. So please conclude on the point.
So, getting people into agric will demand a lot of things.
Okay.
At least the farm gate price is a very good thing to motivate them. Getting inputs, agric inputs, fertilizer, seedlings, and others will be a very, very good thing to do that. Government should see how you can do that. Because the demand for people to go into is already the youth to go there, especially the youth where I come from. The question then becomes the glut. Right now, there's egg glut. There's an egg glut in the camp. There's a lot of glut. So we should then look at processing.
It creates the impression that the government is rather doing very well.
So that's what I'm going to come to you because you see, you are introducing a different trajectory to the conversation.
Look, you can look at it. If you are a farmer, and you cannot sell your eggs, are you happy about it?
Obviously not.
You cannot invest next year.
Right.
If you are a farmer and you have maize and there's a glut, you cannot invest. So I'm saying that that's why I say we can look at two prices.
Conclude on the point.
Lower prices for consumers should be a good thing.
Okay.
That's one aspect. But if you are a farmer and you are a businessman and you have gone into debt, you've taken loans to farm, you also want to recoup, make profit before you go. If not, then next year you have nothing to invest. If you have nothing to invest, then you see that there's this incentive to go back to the farm.
Thank you. So you see, I was showing you part of the data, which it was just to aid the point, but you had indicated that you still wanted to move on. You see, this picture of what's happening in the agricultural sector paints a certain projection of how things are going to be. 5 million people. You mentioned the glut of rice, maize, eggs. It is not because there is no demand. So that's where the challenge is. In fact, there's been interventions to have them reduce. Pricing is a big issue. If there's glut, one of the ways of consuming or encouraging consumption of that excess production of a particular item is the price mechanism. Reduce, get people to. That's another avenue. It's a very big issue that we're seeing playing out now. So there's been some interventions to have the prices reduced so people can consume more. There's something like you wanted to make an intervention quickly on what the situation is now with the agri sector, because now if farmers are producing more at less cost, then that also is a positive development, you say, quickly.
Well,
quickly, then I'll go to...
For me, I am quite excited about everything Doc and Martin says, because from the narrative, it appears to me that the government is doing excessively well. Because if you have more food in the market, obviously, that is what every nation wants. Every nation would want to have enough food for its people, and indeed for anyone else who is within their jurisdiction. So if government is already achieving that purpose, and we have stability in prices, indeed, stability across everything. I mean, in our economy, this is the first time in 1 year that nothing is skyrocketing. Everything appears to be as it used to be when the government assumed office. In fact, others are rather going down, particularly with respect to petroleum prices. I mean, I will not pretend to be an economist, but I live in an economy where I can feel, I know how much I buy things, how much I used to buy the same item, and I know how much I used to suffer to gain the very things that I mean, relatively stable now. So this one, I do not need a political party or government to tell me how I should feel. I remember this has been my position right from, even in the previous government. I remember when President Mahama used to criticize the government. My comment had always been one, that I do not need President Mahama to tell me how bad the economy is, because I'm living in the economy. I'm feeling it. The same principle applies today. I do not need anybody in an opposition government to tell me how this economy is faring, because I am living in this economy. I know how relatively easier it is for me to go about my ordinary activities. And it affirms this price of the agri products. Egg, I used to buy egg. I mean, and good for me, I go to market myself, most of the times, even though I have a better half who would want to do that. But I go to the market myself. So I know the price of items, not from what the economists tell me, not from what I read in the newspapers, from what I buy personally. I used to buy egg for about 70 cedis a year ago. Today I'm buying egg for 60 cedis. I thank God for that. I used to buy prices of ordinary items, bread, food, and everything that you can think of. The prices have either remained stable, or gone down, relatively gone down. Now, if you put all those together, and you tell me that because we have excessive produce in the market, then something is wrong.
But he looked at this from the perspective of the farmer.
No, I'm coming there. Because Doc also makes some solutions, which are all fundamental solutions to our problems in this country anyway. In fact, if you ask the BC's candidate to tell you the problems of agric, he can literally list everything. And these are not unknown to all of us. Because we have all been to school and we know the problems of our economy and indeed the problems of our agric. But when you offer the same solutions that appears not to be working for us, because the solutions that you offer appears to be the solutions that will give us more food, but without tackling how the excessive food should be utilized.
No, but I said we should go into production. We should use, for instance, maize. We produce maize and we just eat it. Can we turn maize into something? In Brazil, they are turning maize into fuel. Okay. Can we go? So my point is that yes,
no, that's value addition.
Value addition.
Yeah.
But before you add, good. So before you add value addition,
have to industrialize some of them.
But you have to do it. There's another aspect. But again, I want to.
But this is what I was driving at, right? Mm-hmm. Mischievously, I wanted to say this: if you have a company set up by the state to buy the excessive food, and the leaders of those companies allegedly use those monies for their private gains in the excess of millions of Ghana cedis, how do you expect this economy to survive?
And let me just chip in one for you.
So what do you do that? Wait. You prosecute them, and then you solve the problem.
Okay.
No,
you do that. You arrest those people.
No,
you prosecute them. But then you still have to.
I will accept Martin's intervention, and then I'll reject yours.
Abuja says that it is not government's duty to find market for these farmers that today you are making noise about. Google it.
No, it doesn't matter.
You were quiet. You see the double side. You were quiet. What did you say?
I'm not I am the Buntias Ato. And I am telling you that government has a responsibility to the farmers and the consumers. Did you see me here on TV3 when you said
Why don't you go on Facebook?
Martin, I like the fact that you say not everybody tries to do everything. And I'm happy. I like the fact that you are steadfastly defending this government. Remember when I said you were saying you are living up
your mic is off. Doc, okay, I gave you 2 seconds. Now you made it 2 minutes. I'll never give you any. So my point is this. We need to look at things from all angles. If you have been entrusted with the responsibility to support all of us, and you rather use that for your private gain, you and your family members, throwing parties in mid-air and all of that, obviously there is a challenge. You can no longer blame government for your private misconduct if it is correct. I mean, if it is proven to be true that indeed, these things happen. Right. Point is this, we all have responsibility to make this work. We all have responsibilities. And those responsibilities would include you also eating Ghanaian-made food. And stop eating paddy rice from Taiwan and China and all those other countries. You, Dr. Zato, I know you like foreign-made rice. I know you like foreign-made rice. It is obvious.
It is obvious. I'm not going to anywhere to eat with you. You've never seen me eat. So we must food I eat at home is from my farm.
If you do not do this,
I do that.
If you do not do this, if you not eat Ghana,
we need value addition.
Imagine about 30 million people, all of us insisting on eating what is produced here in this country. This entire conversation about government intervening and certain farm gate price and all of that, it will be a thing of the past because most of our foods are imported.
Well, let me bring in this particular picture. It tells you when it comes to the age bracket of this unemployment that we're talking about. This is it. The urban unemployment looks troubling as against the first part of the 15 to 35 years. So there was that promise to create jobs. You made that promise when you were asking for the mandate of the people. We've seen the announcement of some interventions over time. It is reduced. There's been a reduction from 13.7 to 13% in terms of the headline unemployment rate. But then the picture still doesn't look good because then if you have the number of people who are in vulnerable employment taken into consideration, it's a big concern. Okay, what should be the forward-looking intervention going forward? A lot has been said about agriculture. Is that the place to look at? As we round up on this segment.
You say it has been reduced from 13 0.7 to 13.0.
That's from January. Yes.
13.7 to 13 flat.
13, yeah. So can you imagine if we were reducing it by 7 under Akufo-Addo up to now? Can you imagine? This is just a 9 months old government that has been able to reduce it. If we were reducing it like that, do you know where we would be? We would have been 6. And we would have been at par with Canada, whose rate is also at 6. But you see, we must be serious on this program. The man who said that Guinea fowls flew to Burkina Faso said it was a joke. The man himself said it was a joke. And you have intellectuals sitting on programs propagating the same thing. So, I think that when people tune into their TV, they want to hear solutions. Because the unemployment situation is a significant and persistent, issue worldwide. And so we have hundreds and millions of people seeking jobs. But what is the problem, or what causes the unemployment situation? A number of things. So when you know what causes it, then you know how to provide solutions to it. You get my point? So, do you know that technological advancement also affects employment?
True.
Because now, machines, robots are doing the work. Then also, globalization also creates unemployment because jobs go to where there is cheap labor.
True.
Jobs go to where there is cheap labor. So, and I can mention them, economic fluctuations, I can mention them. But the solution is what has been proffered here. Part of it is what has been proffered here by Martin in terms of looking at agriculture. But skills training and job placement, vocational skills, is another area that we should be looking at as a nation to ensure that people acquire their own skills and begin to do things for themselves. We are here importing Togolese to come and do POP. True or false?
True. It's true.
So, what is special about the Togolese that we cannot also produce such people?
I mean, to train,
Yeah,
people
I'm talking about
to
skills
do
training,
this.
yes. Skill training.
That's technical vocational education.
Yes, it's part of it. Whether to forget about my nomenclature, but you know what I'm talking about. That's the example I gave you, bringing people from Togo.
Okay.
Now, SMEs are an area that we can also focus on to absorb the unemployed youth. If you resource them and if you provide capital, they too can absorb the teeming unemployed youth. So I am happy that the statistics are showing some reduction, even though insignificant, but as we go on, and as this country continues this way, we'll make progress.
Okay.
You have Zato, whose government led us into a ditch. In fact, do you know that there was a time in this country, and I have seen coup d'etats. I've seen them from Achampong, Akufu, downwards. One, I was born, but I wasn't old enough to know. The one that toppled the Buzia. Look, it came to a point in this country that people insulting the military for not staging a coup d'etat because the economy was in tatters. And you have a member of that party coming to say that what is ongoing is wrong or it's not yielding dividends. There's a reduction. Look, does he know that DVLA is doing 24-hour? Does he know the ports are doing 24-hour? Does he know the customs are doing 24-hour?
It's a rollout. And as a rollout, other institutions will come on board. The 24-hour is targeting 3 things: jobs, export, and the third one is, I think, production. So don't just look at it from the way you are looking at it comparing to the free HSS. It's not that way. Every program has got its characteristics.
Okay.
Now,
He didn't interrupt you.
Now,
anyway. Please
learn from me. Learn from me.
Round up.
To be quiet. You have quiet.
Gentlemen.
To be quiet.
Justice Abdullah.
To quiet. Now,
wanted to make an intervention.
there's nothing to left.
Now, hold on.
My last point.
No.
My last point.
Yes,
My last
yes.
point.
No.
My last point. My last point. You know the Women's World Bank. Some amount was given in 2025 budget. It was not enough to capitalize the bank because capitalization is 400 million. Now in this budget, more has been added. So we are now set. And now it is almost close to 500 million above the Bank of Ghana threshold. So this is the time for it to now take off. You look at all these things, and you are all over the place.
But you see,
in 6s and 7s.
Okay, he is not wrong to ask where is the bank. No, you see, the question he was asking is, where is the bank? I think that's where you are bringing in an answer. So he is not wrong
Where
to
is
ask
the
that
bank?
question.
You see,
that's where,
in the manifesto,
gentlemen,
did you say you were starting the
thank you. You
Did you
asked
also
the
say we're
question.
starting the first year?
Thank you very much.
You're still going to implement your programs when you start. You started
while
I'm happy that the viewers are watching. The
I wanted to re-echo
voted because
the
of
point that you make. The
The
point
woman
that you
where is the
make.
scam? Where is the scam? Where is the
Thank
scam?
you.
The bank is not there.
Thank you very much.
Where is the scam?
Mr.
The bank
Osu,
doesn't exist. That's
Mr.
a scam.
Osu, now the point that you made,
So that
it was just a question that was asked.
We also have our
Mr.
time.
Osu,
and then- Yes.
just a final one on this.
Yes.
You see, this is how the national picture looks like when it comes to the unemployment rate. And as expected, Greater Accra region has the highest chunk of it, 19.6% of the over 2 million that we're talking about. And it follows like that. This is it.
Alfred, I mean, we are discussing a very serious matter that goes to the core of our being. We have a teeming number of our youths who are unemployed, who took part in the elections of 2024 with the expectation that with the new administration, they will have jobs to do. I have said time with that number that Ghanaians must pardon the New Patriotic Party and this administration. We must take them off our minds, because if we are going to listen to them, we may not make progress. And that is why now my attitude is that anytime Zato refers to the New Patriotic Administration or Nana Akufo-Addo Bawumia's administration, I just decide to close my mind. Other than that, how on earth would anybody invest 2.2 billion into NAPCO and leave the Trade and Industry Ministry? When at the same time, I was very happy he referenced the 1D, 1F that the government of Nana Akufo-Addo introduced or brought 1D, 1F. When as a matter of fact, whereas so much attention, so much revenue was allocated to a shambolic, a thievery scheme like NAPCO, they decided to invest only 400 million or less into 1D, 1F. That was to create more jobs. Alfred, if we are not going to treat Ghana, the Ghanaian economy, as an enterprise economy, we must forget it. This business of concentrating on government providing jobs does not and has never helped any economy. You just gave the statistics. When I was coming, I was listening to you, that we spend close to 47% of our tax revenue on what? Payment of compensation. How do you then survive? Beyond that, you are spending close to 60% or less on payment of interest. So at the end of the day, you are left with nothing to invest in capital expenditure. And that is why you must shift the focus from the government to the private sector. And if you want to do so, what must you do as a country? You go back and stabilize the various indicators. You deal with inflation. Inflation skyrocketed us to up to 54%. Remember, during the Eswal administration, you deal with your policy or policy rate, you get it to the single digit, you make sure that your exchange rate is stabilized. These are the things that expand an economy, causes an enterprise economy to function properly. Because with that, you can then begin to engage in more infrastructure development. And I've been listening to my brother Zato continue to make the point that prices of maize have fallen. Why wouldn't it fall? When only a year ago you were buying Weedicide at 850 cedis, and now it is 800 cedis, and now it's about 450 cedis. It has to reduce. When at the same time, a year around this time, inflation was 23%, and it's now 6.3%. Why must it continue to go up? When at the same time, we were dealing with an exchange rate of about 15 cedis to $1, and now it's hovering around 11, 12 cedis. It has to go down. So this morning, a lot of farmers are not happy with your rendition that prices of maize are going down, foodstuffs are going down because there is a general downturn in the economy. No, because factors that pushes prices up have gone down. I just gave you an example of around this same time, the policy rate of Bank of Ghana was 27%. Now you are dealing with 18.3%.
Okay, so but how do we deal with the glut? You see, that's another challenge because, yes, because there's been the reduction in all of these inputs, it's led to the harvest being higher. Then we have to create avenues for demand and ensure that the areas in the country that need the food actually get it.
Absolutely.
So it's a big problem as well that has to be.
I was coming there. I mean, the solution is in the GTP, and I'm happy to let you understand that we handed this a copy of the GTP to President Mahama. We of the United Party do not understand why cocoa board. I mean, when farmers produce or farm cocoa, do they send their products to Makola or where to find buyers? It is a state that has put in place has aided private sector to be buying cocoa. It has licensed a lot of companies to be going to the farm gates to be buying cocoa, and there is a clearly defined structure for how we buy cocoa. Why can't we do or replicate same for the other foodstuffs? There has to be people in the system, private sector licensed to be buying yam, to be buying maize, to be buying all other foodstuffs and store it like we do with cocoa. Because nobody can convince me that there is no demand. There is demand in Ghana, there is demand in the ECOWAS region, there is demand in the African region. You are talking about a continent that is about 1.2 billion human beings. I mean, Alfred, you were in this country when Russia-Ukraine was happening. What were we not being told? That because the Black Sea also had been blocked, foodstuffs were not coming into Africa, and so because of that, prices went up. And if we are not producing it here, we are saying that we don't have demand. We have demand. What is rather impeding this demand is the fact that we must begin to look straight into politicians' faces, people in authority, and tell them that cause those that finances your activities to reduce their import, cause the laws to work. I mean, I have heard people speak of the Gukon Kitin. It is one of the brilliant policies that I've ever seen in my life. But that policy will fail if you continue to allow politicians, if you continue to allow party financiers to continue to import dead chicken. What's the name? This Ayarifo chicken into this country from Brazil, from the Netherlands, from the United States, without promoting our local one. That is why there seems not to be any demand for it. Because you see, if you are going to do the cost-benefit analysis, a maize in Ghana, a bag of maize in Ghana is expensive than a maize coming from South Africa. And human beings will behave rationally at any given time. And so they would rather prefer to buy the cheaper one as against the expensive one coming from Ghana. So government must, first of all, and as it is doing, try and reduce the various factors that influence production. And beyond that, make sure that import substitution, we buy some of the products that are coming. And that is the only way we will provide the much needed demand for our local waste. And this, for me, must be work in progress. We must encourage that. And once we do that, the teeming youth, it's not government that is going to offer them employment, but it's the private sector that will do that.
I thank you very much for this. And this is a continuous conversation. We're setting the ball rolling with this morning. But then again, it's actually would then...
It's 12.8. It's not 13.
Well, we rounded it up. Yes.
So unemployment is
a roundup.
12.8 is rounded up to 13.
So it's not entirely wrong. Yes. Anyway, but thank you, gentlemen, for this, for your thoughts on how the way forward would look like. What was expected was to proffer solutions and proposals from you in dealing with this, and we've got it. We'll come back to it again in the coming weeks as well.